Hello there and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a brief summary of whatever we have seen so far. We have looked at mathematics, kinematics, weak variational formulation, balance laws, linearization, and so many other things in quite detail. And it is a good time now to have a recap and summarize everything so that we understand clearly where we are heading. And also for those who do not have time or who don't need to go through in detail of everything, but they want to just have an overall idea of what is there in this theory. So for those also this video will be helpful. So we'll look at the summary of Coset shell theory. Actually it is summarized quite well in part 2 and part 3 also of the series of papers by J.C. Simo et al. So we will follow that we will follow that summary itself, and then we will look at the finite element interpolations also of the theory which we have already developed. Okay, so let's start. So let us try to understand what is this all about. What we are doing, we are trying to develop a theory for modeling plates and shells. Of course we have our WAM theory from which we will get the 2D constitutive law, but in order to be able to solve that in a finite element framework, we need a 2D theory which can model all the geometrical material nonlinearities and capture all the intricacies involved in the model. So this is our main purpose, and that is why we have chosen FEEP software and we are going through this series of papers. Now the theory which is given over here is based on Coset theory, and many people have worked on Coset based models. What is this Coset theory? That is the main question. Fundamentally, there are two broad categories of approaches if we want to solve a plate or shell problem, and parallelly beam or rod problem also. What are those two approaches? One is from the classical continuum mechanics approach, or we can also call it as degenerated solid approach. That is first approach, where we have a 3D continuum and we apply some procedures to solve. Second approach is a direct approach, where we have a different kind of continuum and we do not start with classical continuum mechanics results or equations. Instead we develop the equations directly for this 2D geometry or 2D surface or 1D beam. So that is why the name direct approach. So the main difference lies in the continuum itself. In the first approach, we have a 3D continuum. That means each particle has got 3 degrees of freedom, 3 translation degrees of freedom. So whatever kinematics we develop, whatever expressions we write for linear momentum, angular momentum, everything is based fundamentally on these 3 degrees of freedom, and accordingly we develop balance laws and then we solve them in terms of those. So that is a 3D continuum, and that is the approach followed through degenerated solid approach, and it is quite popular, and that is oldest approach which used to be followed. So again in this approach there are two sub branches. First approach is by considering some ad hoc assumptions in certain parameters along certain directions, like uh, assumptions related to the third direction in the expression of u3 or sigma 3, such kind of assumptions which may be physically reasonable or which may be ad hoc, or or they may be absurd assumptions which will drastically reduce the performance and accuracy of the final solution. So that is first approach, first sub branch. And second sub branch is using asymptotic methods. So asymptotic methods also could be of two kinds, one with some ad hoc assumptions and other purely based on physics as we do in our WAM. So these are the approaches available with degenerated solid approach. Now the second category or second approach to solve beam shell plate problems is through a directed continuum, or we call it as Couseret continuum. In this continuum we have for each particle 6 degrees of freedom, 3 translational and 3 rotational. So in this continuum, this is actually not just a 2D surface or 1D curve. Instead, it is endowed with additional structure, additional geometric structure, and that is through this directed continuum, directed vectors, which are called as actually directors. So if we are modeling a n-dimensional surface or n-dimensional curve, if we are modeling, we can have as many as n director vectors at each point. Okay. So this direct approach is based upon a directed continuum, or it is also called as Couseret continuum or polar continuum. So what is the advantage of using this approach? The main advantage is in terms of geometrical exactness and ease with which we can model the geometry and strain fields in terms of certain abstract quantities. Instead of plainly in terms of displacements and rotation, we can model the geometrical quantities or kinematic relationships or the equations of balance laws, etc. We can model in terms of abstract quantities which are called as director vectors. That is one advantage. And second, we can capture all the forces and moments which can cause any kind of micro rotation, which is particularly useful in analyzing delamination, fractures, cracks, or granular media. So such things can be modeled and analyzed through this approach because we have more degrees of freedom, and we can basically involve more forces and moments which could not have been possible in the degenerated solid approach. So like couple stresses is one term which we can introduce here, which can cause corresponding rotations in the directors. Those can be incorporated over here. By the way, this is not to say that such things are not possible in degenerate solid approach. There also we have local rotations, warpings, and geometrical exactness is a version of it in terms of the. So here we have a paper by PM Nagdi titled as Finite Deformation of Elastic Rods and Shells. This was in the year of 1981, and here he has given quite in detail about the second approach which we are talking about, the direct approach. So all the formulation details, the assumptions involved, and the terms, forces and moments, terms which are appearing in the fundamental equations, those we can see in this paper. So here in part A of this paper, he has mentioned about this direct formulation, and he has talked about this two types of Coset surfaces which you can have, or rather a generalized form of Coset surfaces which is termed as CK, where K could be anywhere between 1 to n. N is the dimensionality of the space which we are modeling. So in our simplistic case we have only one director, okay, but it could be more than one also, so that is mentioned over here. And secondly, I wanted to show you one more important aspect with respect to the kinematics, how it is developed. So we can see here theta, alpha, these are the contravariant quantities of the Euclidean space, okay. And yeah, here he has mentioned about basic principles of a Coset surface. So here he is mentioning about the basic terminology which is has actually become quite common in today's literature, but this was new at that time probably. So here we have density, mass density as rho, and S is the surface in the present configuration, and on that there is a contact force N. So this N, when we write the equations, balance equations for that surface element, then this contact force will come into picture, N, okay. Then there is one contact director force M also. So this we have seen in our J.C. formulation. We have both N and M appearing, okay, and they have similar connotations as it is given over here, and both of them are per unit length, okay. Then there is one more assigned force and assigned director force. So in all the forces which they are considering, they have is parallel connotation with respect to the director also. So this is L, okay, we had one L over there also, but this is not that L, okay. This is assigned means something which is applied externally, so it is that L, and this is per unit mass of the surface S. And there is one more intrinsic director force K per unit area. So this is probably that which is in our theory, in the J.C. formulation it is denoted by L. So this probably is represented over here as K, and it is intrinsic director force they are calling it as, okay. And in some previous versions of the papers by PM Nagdi only, they are writing all the forces which are corresponding to a director, like we have M here, we have L here, and we have K here. They are calling it force also, and they are calling it as couple also. So in the J.C. formulation also we are calling there it as couple, okay. So that notation is coming from here. And then they are introducing two inertia coefficients. Now when they are writing the energy, kinetic energy, they are considering the kinetic energy of the particles and as well as kinetic energy of the director vectors. So that is why two inertia coefficients, they are not calling that this is the mass of something and this is mass of something else, they are just simply calling it as inertia coefficients, and they appear in the kinetic energy expression, okay. And then there are terms corresponding to the internal energy, heat flux, and other things. So all these terms are used to basically form the balance laws, and these are the, we have FB and FC as the body force and surface force, okay. So in terms of all of these, they first developed the kinematical quantities write the expression of kinetic energy. So v dot v term is 1, then y1 was inertia coefficient and it is multiplied with v dot w. So how v is interacting with w, that term, and w dot w. So all these terms appear in the kinetic energy, and momentum, director momentum is then calculated. So in that J.C. Simos paper also we have terms related to director momentum, okay, but their expressions are little different and as compared to what is given over here. So it is just for our knowledge how it originated, and then maybe we can think of it, or we can try to correlate with this expressions later on. So this we have, and here they have also given the dimensions of all of these quantities. So basically they are either force per unit length, or force per unit mass, or force per unit area, like that. So that is there. So based on these, they have derived, they have they've written down this balance equations. This is conservation of mass, and these two are conservation of momentum corresponding to the director momentum, okay. And sorry, this is linear momentum, conservation of linear momentum, and this third one is conservation of director momentum as it is written over here, and the fourth one is the conservation of moment of momentum, okay. And one more thing I wanted to show, yeah, this equation is quite similar to what we have in the J.C. Simos formulation corresponding to angular momentum conservation equation. So basically in this direct approach, it is all geometrically exact, and if we can solve it, we will be able to get the results correctly. But the main problem with this model was, this approach was that it was difficult to connect it with the 3D world. So they have introduced new force and moment quantities, but how it will get related to the actual 3D material which we have? How will we write the constitutive equations? So that was the main question. So I think mainly in the J.C. Simos paper we see the theory which they are presenting is kind of a mixture of the Cosseret based model, and they are trying to bring it or correlate it with the 3D continuum mechanics also. So they have given the proofs in appendix 1, they have given the proofs starting from the 3D balance law in terms of the Cauchy stress, and from that they have built up the balance law for the 2D shell in terms of the 2D stress resultants. So that we have seen. So they are like, in this theory they are taking the advantages of both the worlds by combining the geometrical exactness and simplicity of the Cosseret models, and along with the constitutive equations of material relationships of the 3D continuum mechanics and classical elasticity. So let us now start the summary for which this video is planned. So let us come to part 3. So we'll first look at the mathematical structure through this part 3, and in part 2 rest of things we will see. So actually in part 1 they have developed the full nonlinear theory of Kosaret shells till the weak variation formulation and its linearization, and in part 2 and part 3 they are basically considering the computational aspects or FEM implementation of that same nonlinear theory which they have developed in part 1. So in both these parts, part 2 and part 3, they have also given a brief summary of whatever is covered in part 1. So we are going to just look at that. So before that, they have given some features of this theory. So let us have a look at that also. So one of the main things they are saying is that the geometrical exact model which they have established, so they have established it through a relationship between SO3 and S square. So through this they are able to very correctly write the director vector, position of any director vector independent of the magnitude of the rotation. So that parametrization of the director field is singularity free, and hence that is optimal for numerical computations. And secondly, the update procedure for the director field is also exact. This they have seen in the finite element interpolations. When they interpolate the director through the exponential mapping, the interpolated director is also lying in the unit sphere, and the linearized director field, that means delta t, that is also lying in its tangent space. So that update exactness of the update procedure they are talking about over here, so that they have achieved. And then yeah, rest of the things are one can read this. So a remark about the term geometrically exact. In any numerical solution procedure, there are two different levels of approximations to be considered. First level concerns the geometry of the shell and the balance equations governing the motion of the shell, and second is related to the numerical solution. So by geometrically exact they mean the first level, which is quite understandable, and only assumption which they have put now is with respect to the inextensibility of the director vector, and they are treating only one director where three director vectors are possible, but they are treating only one director and that is inextensible. But in part 4 after they have developed the entire update procedure for the director interpolations and everything, and once they have established that, they are extending that limitation, they are removing that limitation by incorporating extensibility of the director also, by continuing on the same exponential map. So basically following this exponential map, any vector which is in this Euclidean space can be represented as a director vector in this directed continuum shell surface. So this is in 2D. So any 2D vector can become a 3D vector. So this is the conversion, and this is the rotation without drill. So we can basically transform vector in this 2 dimension into a 3 dimension. So adding 3 displacements of degrees of freedom also. Here in this system we will have 5 degrees of freedom, and here we will have 6 degrees of freedom. So we can avoid the drilling degree of freedom by this procedure. So now if we look at the kinematics, The entire shell configuration is represented as this phi and t maps, where phi is in R3 and t is in S square, which is a unit sphere, and both of them are mapped to a Euclidean space in R2. So this is how the shell configuration is represented, and then based on this the momentum balance equations are derived, which are given over here. So these are derived right from the 3D equilibrium or 3D balance equations, which are in terms of Cauchy stress or first Viola-Kirchhoff stress. So when we integrate over the thickness direction, we get this stress resultant terms, and the expression of these stress resultant and superscript alpha they have given in terms of the Cauchy stress and first Viola-Kirchhoff stress. So this equation's derivation is clearly understandable, and they are coming from the continuum mechanics, basic continuum mechanics. Okay, and this is the equation of angular momentum conservation, which is analogous to this sigma is equal to sigma transpose equation. Now this is in terms of forces and moments. Okay, and now if we resolve these force and moments along the convected basis, so that those components are basically n beta alpha and m tilde beta alpha. So these equations we can write in component form also, but if we consider the effective membrane or effective stress shear resultant forces, these are the ones which appear in the final equations, which satisfy both the linear momentum conservation and the angular momentum conservation. So the final form of equations which we have is actually this. It is given in this table. Sorry. Yeah, this one. So this is the weak form of the momentum balance equations, and here we have the terms of n tilde alpha beta, m tilde alpha beta and q tilde alpha, and these are the effective membrane and effective shear resultant forces, which are written in terms of the components of the force and moment resultants resolved along the convected basis. So this can be obtained easily, and then if we have the constitutive equations, we can incorporate these over here. They can be nonlinear, and so then the linearization process is involved, and we have both the material tangent and geometric tangent. So in the process of linearization, parameterization is done in this manner. So here exponential map is utilized to form a rule for writing the expression of linearized director field, which is delta t. Okay, and then this is incorporated within the final expressions to give us this equation, which is the linearized static weak form, and then this is solved further. Okay, so that is the entire summary of whatever is covered in part 1. For details, please do look into the videos which are available. See, so we have these videos under this channel playlist feed discussions. So in part 1, part 2 and part 3 I have covered geometric preliminaries, and in part 4 we have kinematics and local balance laws, then remaining portion of balance laws, then weak variational formulation, and then linearization. So we have covered this material not only from part 1, but several explanations and derivations are in part 2 and part 3 also. So basically in this material I have covered all the material which is given in part 1, part 2 and part 3, basically whole of mixed formulation and displacement formulation. So